What the hell is going on, Retro Freaks? Today is more of just a discussion, little bit of banter back and forth regarding something I've seen in the YouTube space regarding video game collecting, and a big driver of this. And we've got a lot of questions about our thoughts on the Nintendo Switch 2 and the video game key cards. And there's this narrative, although we'll talk about that, of what's going to become or happen to video game collecting. And I'm hearing a lot of like, it's going to die off.
It's dead.
Because younger generations don't appreciate physical media. So there will be this threshold where the prices are just going to bottom out.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that we're approaching like a new video game crash, and like the crash is coming and all this stuff. And I do think it is going downhill and all this stuff, but I don't think we're going to get to a crash. At least not in my lifetime. At least not when I'm caring about things.
Yeah.
You know? I think it's going to hang on for a little bit longer.
And so what I personally think is going to happen, as someone who has been a collector for a long time, is there's two different realms. There's the current realm of what's out for video games, and I don't know necessarily what's going to happen there. But as a collector who's more into the old school stuff, I definitely think in our lifetimes we are not going to have an issue with people not wanting this stuff anymore. Actually, what I personally think is going to happen is there is going to be a huge resurgence in people wanting to collect physical media, and I think it's going to be massive. I don't know that it goes all the way back to like the NES and that type of stuff.
I think the NES is definitely for us, but the younger generation isn't going to really care about that. A lot of the games you can emulate. I mean, you can emulate a lot of stuff, but I think the pocket of stuff that people are going to be like, oh, I want to own this, I want to have the physical, is going to be the Gen 6 and Gen 7.
Yeah.
Like, and then we're starting to notice it for Gen 7. Gen 6, maybe not, because that's what I'm nostalgic for.
Yeah.
But kids that are now adults are going like, oh, man, I want to get this Nintendo Wii game that I had when I was a kid. I want to get Gears of War 3 for the 360. I want to get freaking this game for the PS3. And what's so wild is they grew up playing all these new stuff. They're playing the Nintendo Switch 2. They're playing the PS5 and all this stuff. But then they're like, man, I can get this stuff for free. I don't need internet. I don't need all this stuff. And it brings you back to the era of like when life was simpler and when you were a kid and having fun. I think that era is going to pop.
And I think you're 100% right. And I think the reason for that is some will tend to get annoyed with the nuances of modern gaming. You know, as it pertains to 8 and 16-bit stuff, I look at it like, you know, I'm not even 40 yet. You got another 10-ish years until you're 40. I'm not worried about the 8-bit, 16-bit stuff. Do I think a bunch of new people will be flooding in? No, but we have friends in their mid-50s, pushing 60, that still love collecting this stuff. So from a point of a fire sale, you see what happens with vinyl and stuff kind of coming back. I think that will be cool, but there's a pocket of gaming outside of what you left off with 6 and 7. I literally think the Switch is going to get insane.
Oh, the first Switch, yeah.
And then, hear me out, I think the Xbox Series and the PS5 will be insane to collect for.
That's a wild hot take.
Because supply and demand. Those two consoles have a large install base that are digital only.
Yes.
Go look up yourself. Jump on price charting right now and do a sort on Series X physical games. It will blow your freaking mind. There are games like Indiana Jones, newer, but still pulling $50-$60 a pop.
Yeah, that's insane, because usually modern games, I just go, oh, in a few months, I'll be able to find it for $5-$10, you know?
And more often than not, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but when there's a limited run release, I think collectors grab the Switch version first, or the PS4, PS5 version. I think the last on the totem pole is Xbox One, Xbox Series X stuff.
Is that because of Game Pass?
I think some of it's because of Game Pass, a lot of low print runs, and when you go into the stores and look at physical game sections, which company has the smallest physical game section in every store? Xbox.
Yeah, which is wild. I think Xbox is definitely leaning towards getting away from physical media.
For sure.
Because they're really diving into Game Pass, and I use Game Pass daily. I love it. But it's not good for the long term and all that. That's insane that Indiana Jones is going for that much on the X.
It's pretty wild. It's just basically held the line since its launch. There's obviously the filler and the sports games, but I think the install base, I think there's more people that play physical games on the PS5, but far less people play physical games on the PS5 than they did the PS4.
Yes, it is.
And then I think of both PS4 and PS5, far less people who are Xbox players play the physical games. Now, we can get into is the full game on the disc. Some games are, some games aren't. Neither here nor there. But I think there will be a huge push, like you said. We've already seen it with the GameCube prices and all that stuff. I think Gen 7's gonna pop, but don't sleep. Like right now is the time to get in on PS4, and I think PS5 and Xbox Series X will be freaking insane to collect.
It's going to be really weird to see, because that's an insane take, because in my mind I'm just like, okay, they're great games and all that stuff, but it's because a lot of the games are broken, they're not done when they so I wonder what that's going to be like, or if they're going to release, like the Switch 2 just proved it. The Switch 2, I mean, it might be just a digital keycard, but they put out Cyberpunk, the full finished game.
Yeah.
So what if, down the line...
And that's all on the card.
Yeah, so what if down the line, they released the full finished game for the PS5 on physical, then it's like, okay, then you don't need the internet, you don't need all this stuff.
Yeah.
So that will be really nice. And that Cyberpunk thing, I think that one's going to be really good, because everyone's going to be like, well, don't get the old ones, and then this one will hold its value because you don't need internet.
It's going to be insane. I just don't think that the physical collecting realm is going away. I think it's going to get crazier than it's ever been. Yeah. That's just my take. We have yet to see a full... what would you call it, realization of what the limited run, strictly limited game type of thing does long term. Yeah. We're living in it. Yeah, we're in it right now.
We're not, it's going to be like at least 20 years that we know.
Yeah, but what's that going to look like?
That's going to be wild, too, because is that stuff going to hold value, go up in value, or is it going to drop in value? Yeah, it's hard to tell.
It's tough to say, but I do really, really, really believe that if you're worried about that, collecting dying off, you make your own decision if you want to get rid of all your stuff or not. But in our lifetimes, no way.
Yeah, I don't.
Just not going to happen. Will it happen at some point? Possibly.
Yeah, possibly.
But nothing we need to worry about.
I do think we are on the downhill, though, of physical media. Physical media is definitely becoming less and less. We've talked about it tons in videos. You go to stores, and you can barely find... I went to Target to look for movies recently, and they had no movies. Yeah. And I was like, what? So it is going downhill, but I don't think it will ever fully disappear, because there's going to be this group of people, and if anything, we're going downhill obviously, but if anything, it's going to start coming back up. I think it's going to do kind of what vinyl did. Yep. Vinyl was super massive, and then it was like, oh, let's listen to CDs, let's do all this stuff, and now people are like, oh, vinyl is freaking awesome. So then I think physical media, especially video games, people are going to be like, oh man, I miss doing this, I miss having this. It's going to be a lot of nostalgia and a lot of stuff coming for... I really think Gen 7, and then that PS5 and Xbox.
Dude, I think the install base is going to be so low. And I think this about a lot of different things. Insert media type here. But I think the collector's market long-term for 4K movies is going to be insane. Yeah. And it's all because of install base.
Yes.
There will be far less of those in the hands of collectors than there were DVDs. Oh, there's going to be far less physical copies of Astrobot or whatever it is in people's hands versus the digital copy.
And it's supply and demand, so it's not you're not gonna be able to find it for pennies on the dollar.
And I think that sweet spot, we'll wait and see. Remember this video. I think Xbox Series X physical games, because remember, a vast majority of people that are in on the series have the Series S, can't play physical games.
Yeah, that's.
I think it's going to be wild.
A lot of people in that generation, the PS5 and the Xbox and all that stuff, they even have consoles that are disc-less. Yes. And most people have those because they were cheaper versions of the console, and they're like, well, I don't want to worry about buying games, and then I don't have to worry about do all this stuff. But yeah, long term, it's like, oh, you have a PS5 that has a disc drive? You actually have games for it? People are going to be like, in like 25 years, you're going to go over to a friend's house and they're going to dust off their PS5 and be like, remember this bad boy? Yeah. When we're playing the PS9 or whatever, and it's going to be like, holy shit, you have one with a disc drive? That's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't think, I guess the summation of this video is I don't think the current market going away from physical, which looks like this could potentially be one of the last generations that has physical games, and physical games that are fully on the disc or the cartridge, because we know plenty of them aren't. I don't think that is going to dry up the collector's market. No. I think it's going to make the collector's market, as that dries up, it's going to push people more into that collector's market, and there's going to be less to be had.
Yeah, people are going to be
those consoles.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot harder to find game stores. you're gonna go in and be like, man, I remember when I could get this game for $10 and now it's like $80 for a used game. So it is gonna be wild. So I definitely do not think video game collecting is gonna die off or is dying or will be dead. I think it's gonna stay alive and it's just gonna get crazy.
I think especially like the Switch.
I mean, it's so insane nowadays because I'm seeing it happen like with the Wii.
Yeah.
Like that is so wild to me because the Wii was such a massive install base.
Yep.
A lot of people shit on it. There's a lot of shovelware, but even like common games are starting to go for $25-$30. Even like it's starting because people are like, I want to play this.
So many of our friends who aren't hardcore collecting freaks like us have pinged us like, hey, can you hook me up with a Wii?
Yeah, people want Wiis again.
Want to play a Wii, you know?
And it's so weird because back in the day, everyone had a Wii, and then everyone was like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
You know, and now they're back to it.
Now they're not over it. So, anyways, just a quick discussion. What do you think? Leave it in the comment section below. Is the future for the collector's market? Is it going to get more insane? Will there be more people entering the collecting scene and less games to be had from the current gen consoles? That's my prediction. It's going to be the Wild West. Bang, bang. But we have a beer to talk about before we get out of here.
This is a special one. So this was sent by a fan of the channel, Chris. So thank you so much, Chris. This is the Stone Dolphin Hefeweizen. This is from Lux Beer Company in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I've never heard of this brewery, but Sioux Falls is 4 or 5 hours from us. Yep. So Midwest. We love our Hefeweizens. You're a Hefeweizen fan, so I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, he sent us this, and I believe from the same brewery,
a milk stout.
Yeah, so excited to try that as well. I'm very critical of Hefeweizens. Yes. They're a tough beer to brew,
very tough.
And even tougher beer to make stand out, right? Because they're it's hard to find. It's just not a common beer that every brewery is going after. This is damn good.
Yeah.
This is a really, really, really solid Hefeweizen. I would probably give it a solid like 8.5 to a 9 out of 10.
I was thinking about 8.5 too.
Yeah.
I have had better ones, but this one, I mean, Hefeweizens are really hard, and I've had a lot of bad ones.
Yep.
Like breweries try them, and like it's a tough beer to make.
They usually come out just watery and just kind of lifeless. This has that.
This has flavor. I do wish there was a little bit more texture to it, like more chunks, but it still is really good.
Yep.
It has the great like Hefeweizen nose to it,
banana and clove,
and it's just it's refreshing. It's crisp. This is a really good. And if this was in our area, I'd be drinking this a lot.
Yeah.
Stone Dolphin. So thank you so much, Chris. I'm excited to try the milk stout because we like milk stouts. But this one's freaking great.
Very good. So thanks a bunch for that. Stone Dolphin Hefeweizen. Check it out if you're in the South Dakota area.
Sioux Falls, baby.
Appreciate you tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to blow up the comments. What do you think the future is for video game collecting now that we live in a world of digital media, key cards, codes in boxes, etc.? Time will tell.
Yeah.
But that's our prediction.